You ever stop and think about how much of your life is influenced by just a handful of companies? I mean, we all know the big names: Google, Amazon, Apple, Facebook, Microsoft. But how often do we really consider the sheer power these giants have not only over our daily routines, but the entire global economy? It's pretty wild when you pause and reflect on it. These companies aren't just tech firms. They're economic behemoths with influence stretching far beyond what's obvious at first glance. Today, I want to take you on a deep dive to explore exactly how big tech quietly controls the global economy. This isn't about conspiracy theories or exaggerations. It's about understanding the mechanisms, the subtleties, and the profound impact these companies have on everything from jobs and markets to international relations and the way money flows around the world. Let's start by getting a handle on the size of these companies. When we say big tech, we're talking about the handful of firms whose market valuations aren't just in the billions, but in the trillions. To put it in perspective, Apple's market cap has topped $2 trillion, and Microsoft and Amazon have followed closely behind. These numbers aren't just figures on a stock ticker. They represent unprecedented economic power concentrated in a few hands. With that kind of financial muscle, big tech companies operate in a league of their own. They don't just compete with other companies. They shape entire industries and redefine what's possible within them. For example, think about Amazon. It's not just an online store. It's a logistics giant, a cloud computing powerhouse, a content creator, and more. It's so deeply embedded in the fabric of commerce that it can affect supply chains worldwide almost at will. But how does this translate into controlling the global economy? Well, one critical avenue is through control over infrastructure. Think about the internet itself, the backbone of modern business. Many of these big tech companies own or control vast networks of data centers, undersea cables, and cloud services that keep the digital world humming. When you realize that key services, websites, even national governments rely on these platforms to operate, it becomes clearer how these companies aren't just participants but gatekeepers of the digital age. Take cloud computing, for instance. Amazon Web Services, Microsoft Azure, and Google Cloud dominate this market. What does that mean for other businesses? It means they depend on the infrastructure these companies provide to store data, run applications, and serve customers. If one of these cloud providers decided to raise prices or alter terms, the ripple effects could be enormous, impacting millions of other companies and, by extension, their employees and customers worldwide. It's a form of control that's often invisible, but incredibly powerful. We're not talking about just owning products or services, but owning the very platform on which businesses operate. And this influence extends into finance as well. With the rise of digital payments, mobile wallets, and even cryptocurrencies, big tech is increasingly moving into financial services, blurring the lines between tech and banking. For example, consider Apple Pay or Google Pay. These platforms are not only changing how we spend money, but also how money moves globally. They simplify cross-border transactions, enable faster payments, and collect valuable data on consumer behavior. This data becomes a goldmine, giving these companies insights that traditional banks never had, and allowing them to tailor services, target markets, and influence spending patterns in ways others can't. Facebook's attempt to launch Libra, which later rebranded as Diem, was a direct effort to create a global digital currency. While it faced regulatory hurdles, the very idea signals big tech's ambition to play a central role in the future of money. If they succeed, even partially, the conventional financial system could face unprecedented disruption, with these companies acting as new gatekeepers. Another layer of control comes from how big tech influences labor markets. The gig economy, for example, is heavily shaped by platforms such as Uber, Lyft, and DoorDash, all powered by tech companies. These platforms have shifted how millions of people work, turning traditional employment models on their head. This change isn't just about convenience. It affects income stability, workers' rights, and economic security for a large swath of the population. Moreover, by harnessing artificial intelligence and automation, big tech is also rapidly reshaping industries like manufacturing, retail, and even agriculture. This kind of technological disruption can boost productivity and innovation, sure, but it can also concentrate wealth and power in the hands of those who control the technology, widening economic inequality. it's important to think about what that means for societies worldwide. Now, it might sound like these companies are unstoppable or even unaccountable, but that's not entirely true. Governments around the world have started to recognize that allowing these companies to grow unchecked could lead to significant risks. That's why you've heard so much about antitrust investigations, data privacy laws, and debates over regulation in recent years. But regulation is tricky here because these companies don't just operate within one country. They are global actors, and their influence crosses borders. Think about how Facebook's platforms have affected elections not just in the US, but globally, or how Google's search algorithms can influence access to information everywhere. Regulating a company like this requires international cooperation on a scale that's difficult to achieve, and the companies themselves are experts at navigating these challenges.